The usual form of words, it's an honour and it's a privilege to have been a mayor of Bath. It was a joy to actually be able to visit so many people, organisations, and to be able to sort of receive people, to host them, to sort of say well done or congratulations on your achievement and things like that. It's a really special privilege, and I was delighted that I had the opportunity to do it. When you're mayor, everybody wants to talk to you, which is lovely. People say, what's your favourite thing? And there are just so many things that stand out. You can sort of do the grandiose things, the welcoming the Chinese ambassador to the city, meeting a member of the royal family, things that might impress people, but actually meeting a school group, welcoming them to the mayor's parlour, telling them about the mayor, welcoming one of our European twin cities, group of school children from that was a lovely thing to do as well. Going to care homes, talking to religious groups. It was a really fascinating time. And I think the thing that strikes me about it most is that I was able to make a difference by talking about mental well-being. I'd been very seriously ill in the past, and I wanted the city to talk about mental well-being. It's a ceremonial role, so that sort of thing is usually off limits. But actually, all the councillors, and it was a cross-party thing, were absolutely delighted that I was talking and very supportive of me talking about mental illness and mental well-being. I did an interview for the Bath magazine. I was amazed by the reach of it, actually, and how many people in months and even actually sometimes years after I was mayor, people actually came and sort of said, I remember that. They were stunned that someone had talked so openly about not just mental illness, but also severe mental illness in terms of psychosis and being so unwell that you were sectioned. As a society, we sort of tend to swallow our shame. We hide the things we worry about. We hide the things we don't want to talk about. But if you are talking about those things, if you are talking about difficult things, difficult subjects that are real and they are authentic and they are your experience, then of course people with the same experience or the same problems will feel safe or safer and supported to perhaps talk about it themselves. I was about 26 years old at the time, 28 years old, and it was my first psychosis. And I hadn't noticed myself becoming progressively more and more distressed and descending into paranoia, delusions, all sorts of horrific symptoms of severe mental illness. It all felt normal. It all felt that my world was right and that anyone else's world was wrong and that they were out to get me. If I knew where it started, or that I'd need to nip it in the bud, you just don't notice it happening. You become suspicious, you see things or you hear things, you overthink things. I think one of the key things for me actually is probably a lack of sleep. I have no concept of being in that state. So when I'm unwell, I think I'm perfectly well and that everyone else is wrong. And I just want to carry on doing what I'm doing. I might be scared, I might be frightened, I might be all sorts of things, but I'm not wrong. My thought is right. It's not logical. It's not sane. The thoughts are not realistic. Those are thoughts that would not normally be shared by other people. Hallucinations, those are horrible. I remember seeing everyone having a shaved head once, and that was absolutely a hallucination, a visual hallucination. Hypervigilance is when you overthink and overhear too many things and you're listening too much and you just can't rest because you're waiting for a threat to appear and you're just overthinking, listening, hearing noises, wondering, worrying what those noises are. Paranoia tends to be my biggest problem when I've been unwell, and it's that thinking that people are out to get me. Derealisation is terrifying. You suddenly think that you're going to be the only person left in the world, or you think that all the interactions that you have with people or with things are not real. And it's so, so frightening. Somewhere in between paranoia and derealisation, you have delusions, and delusions are just having those thoughts that most people in the street would not share those thoughts. You become deluded about someone's intentions or reality or why leaf patterns are shimmering in a certain way or why lights are flashing in a certain way and what those lights mean and what those lights are telling you. Another symptom is not being able to express myself. I can express myself quite well at the moment, but when I'm not well, I cannot string a sentence together. Or I can string a sentence together, but I can't express myself. Nobody's listening, and I feel that nobody likes me. Another thing I get is flashbacks, and I didn't really understand what they were when I was first unwell. As time has gone by, I have a much clearer idea of what post-traumatic stress disorder actually is and how these symptoms of mental illness make complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is from childhood what I have. Unfortunately for me, the complexity is that I was sexually abused as an infant. I was bullied at school, and I was also emotionally abused. We'll call it mind damage, not brain damage, mind damage. When you're so young and you're so small that you just can't understand the world around you and why these things are happening to you, it's absolutely terrifying. You learn to derealize, you learn to make the world not real. Certainly my psychotherapist has said to me that she thinks it's a protection mechanism, so that when, as an adult, the world becomes a bit stressful, the safe place to go to is that psychotic state, or that delusional state, which is the infant state of survival. That's where the mind goes to, because it's a relatively safe place because you are away from your mind and you are away from your body. Protection. In terms of growing a human, despite having those roots that we all put down through our childhood, on which we form our adult self, a lot of my roots are damaged or deformed because of the abuse that I have suffered in childhood. The tree that's grown from the roots, has been quite bashed and battered by the elements that have been, around it. Insects have attacked it, and bugs have attacked it, and birds have made nests in it, and, all sorts of things have happened to my poor tree because the roots have been deformed and stunted in places. So because the roots aren't strong, one limb of the tree grows funny on one side. So you compensate, and rather than fixing the roots, you make a new bough for the tree, for the adult self, and that's, let's say, drugs or alcohol. It doesn't really matter. It's something that is a way of abusing yourself, but it balances your tree. So yes, what I've been doing has been pruning back the unhealthy boughs that I've had to put in place to make my tree stable. And what I've been doing is going back and nurturing the roots and repairing the roots where I can. It's healing, it's repairing, it's reparenting, it's nourishing, it's looking after the whole self and the whole tree, that, the adult bit that is above the ground, but also the nurturing, the stuff that people don't usually see and don't necessarily want to see, and you don't necessarily want them to see. The other things that I've been doing, as well as dealing with psychotherapy and talking about things, has also been the body as well. So I've been doing yoga, swimming, and running. I find yoga so helpful for my mental health. Expressing myself has also been a big thing as well. So I've been doing some drama workshops with the Natural Theatre Company, and I've just recently done a clowning weekend. For me, it's been about doing those other things and actually repairing that damaged mind and that relationship with joy and with fun and with excitement that is healthy, that is sober, that is safe. I don't like the word recovery. I think healing is better because you can't recover what has been lost. And really, I see that the only thing that you can do in terms of healing, of getting better from mental illness, is to have been able to move forward, and that the historical things or whatever it is that is causing that pain, that deep psychological anguish, no longer causes you that deep psychological anguish. And you can actually make decisions. You can live your own authentic life without being held back by memories that do not serve you any longer. They happened. They were horrible. They were taboo. There were so many things that those memories are. It is horrid. They are horrid. But they don't serve me any longer. Anyone who wants to continue to dwell on those things is not well. The only reason you dwell on those things is if you are not well. I'm dwelling on them now because I want to help other people break the taboo of talking about severe mental illness. But I very much want to walk away from here and go, right, that's the end of that. I'm very sure that this whole interview will be a part of the healing journey, to be able to talk so openly on record. Talking about and reprocessing those traumatic events that happened to me in the past has been necessary for me to heal myself and to make sure that when I become reminded of a past trauma, something that frightens me or scares me now, my mind doesn't react in the same way, so that my mind is healed and that I then am not hurt or upset or worried by my life. And I can then lead my authentic life and live my authentic life without having to be troubled by those past traumas. Of course, I wish to have not had 20 years worth of on-off mental illness. I absolutely wish that. And I absolutely, completely wish that I had never been abused and harmed in childhood. But both of those things I can't change. The only thing we can do is to work through what has brought us to this place, to then be able to move forward in a healthy way that is right for us, that is authentic for us, and lets us enjoy life. And whilst a lot of joy was crushed out of me as a child, and a lot of despair was piled onto me as a child, there's no point in me dwelling on the despair and not finding the joy. So for me, life now is about finding the joy, and finding the joy not in drinking alcohol, not in smoking, not in taking drugs, trying to find the joy in human interactions, into having and expressing healthy emotions and being, just being. You know, we don't as a society spend enough time touching, tasting, smelling, balancing. This morning I managed to take 20 minutes to sit in the sunshine in my garden and listen to the birds, the sounds around, watch the wind blow the grass, feel the wind on my skin, watch nature, watch the world, listen to the world. Those senses that we have lost or forget to bother with. I think my soul is catching up with me. I think the healing of my roots is largely done. The boughs of my tree are, tight and tidy and firm. And as they are strengthening, so my roots are strengthening. And I think I am healing. So, what I'll be doing in the coming months is healing. And that will manifest as exercise, yoga, creativity, learning, seeing people as well. All those things that actually are so good, and trying to do my best to nurture myself, to help those roots fully heal and to help those branches grow back. What would I say to someone who had just had psychosis for the first time? And that terrible fear, that worry, that what's just happened to me? Oh my God, am I mad? Am I this? Am I that? What's wrong with me? You are more courageous than you know. Be compassionate and kind to yourself, and let yourself tell you what happened to you. Make other people help you find out what happened to you, what your story is, so that you'll be able to find your truth and your reality.